Eric sat in his father's study. The dim desk lamp cast a soft glow over the papers in front of him. His father had asked him to scan some documents, a simple enough task. But as Eric fed the papers through the scanner, his eyes caught a familiar name, his own, or rather, the absence of it. His heart pounded as he pulled the will from the stack, reading it over and over, hoping he had misunderstood. But the truth was written in black ink. Every single property, every investment, even the house he had been paying the mortgage for, everything was left to his younger brother, Jake. His parents' betrayal hit him like a punch to the gut. The same parents he had been sacrificing for, the same house he had been maintaining, the same people he had been caring for had erased him from their future entirely. Before he could even process the shock, the door creaked open, and his father, Raymond Carter, stepped in. There was no look of guilt or shame on his face. "I see you found the will," his father said, his voice calm as if he were talking about the weather. Eric swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Dad, why? Why am I not included in this?" His father sighed, rubbing his temples. "It wasn't necessary, Eric. Jake needs it more than you do." Eric's hands trembled as he held the paper. "Not necessary?" His voice cracked with disbelief. "After everything I've done for this family? I paid the mortgage on this house. I take care of you both, and you're telling me I deserve nothing?" His mother, Sharon Carter, walked in, adjusting her robe. "Eric, sweetheart, you're doing well for yourself. Jake has nothing yet." It only made sense to help him. Eric felt sick. "So you're telling me that while I was breaking my back to provide for this family, you both decided I was too successful to deserve anything?" His father sighed again, waving a hand dismissively. "Jake needs a foundation. You'll be fine." The betrayal, the blatant disregard for his sacrifices, burned through Eric's veins like fire. Without another word, he dropped the will on the desk and stormed out of the house, his mother calling after him, but he didn't look back. Eric drove through the quiet streets, his grip tightening around the steering wheel as his mind raced. The betrayal sat heavy in his chest, a raw wound that refused to heal. He had given his parents everything, his time, his money, his love. And yet, in their eyes, he was just a bank account, a convenient provider. He barely remembered the drive home. The moment he stepped into his apartment, he slammed the door shut and let out a shaky breath. His phone buzzed. He snatched it from his pocket, half expecting an apology. "Dad, the bills are late." "Why the delay?" Eric stared at the message, his blood running cold. No remorse, no explanation, just another demand for money. He clenched his jaw, his fingers tightening around the phone. His father wasn't even trying to pretend. After all the years of sacrifice, they truly saw him as nothing more than their personal ATM. For years, he had bent over backward to support them. Every time they needed help, he had been there, paying medical bills, fixing the house, covering. He had done it out of love. But now he saw the truth. They never cared. They had never planned for him to be part of their legacy. His hands shook as he typed his response, "Eric, I'm not paying for anything anymore. If you need money, ask Jake, your golden child." He hit send, his heart pounding. A part of him expected immediate backlash, but instead, the silence stretched. Minutes passed, then an hour. No reply. For the first time in years, Eric felt free. But the next morning, his phone rang. His mother's name flashed on the screen. He let it go to voicemail. Then his father called, then Jake. By noon, the messages came flooding in. "Mom, Eric, come to the house. We need to talk. Dad, we raised you better than this. Stop being selfish. Jake, you're really going to let our parents suffer?" Wow. Eric exhaled slowly, dragging a hand down his face. He had spent his whole life being the good son, the responsible one, the provider. But now, when he needed understanding, all they saw was their source of income dry up. His phone buzzed again. "Mom, Eric, we expect you here tonight, 7 p.m. Eric stared at the message, his jaw clenching. If they wanted a conversation, fine. But this time, he wasn't going to be their obedient son. This time, they were going to hear exactly how he felt. Eric pulled up to his parents' house just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the neatly trimmed lawn. The house he had helped pay for, the house that, according to the will, wasn't even his. He exhaled sharply, gripping the steering wheel before stepping out. His mother had sent him a message earlier, "Don't be late," like he was some child being summoned for punishment. The moment he stepped inside, the tension in the air was suffocating. His father sat in his usual chair, legs crossed, expression unreadable. His mother stood by the dining table, arms folded, lips pursed. And then there was Jake, slouched on the couch with his phone in hand, barely looking up. Eric shut the door behind him. "All right, I'm here. What do you want?" His mother sighed dramatically. "Eric, we need to understand what's going on with you, ignoring our calls, refusing to help with the bills." Eric scoffed. "Are you serious right now? That's what this is about? Not the fact that you completely cut me out of your will?" His father leaned back, rubbing his temples. "Eric, we've been through this. Jake needs it more than you do." "Jake needs it," Eric repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "He's 28 years old, Dad. A grown man. But instead of pushing him to be responsible, you're handing him everything while expecting me to keep taking care of you." Jake finally looked up from his phone, rolling his eyes. "You're really being dramatic about this." Eric turned sharply to him. "You have no job, no responsibilities, and yet I'm the one being dramatic?" Jake smirked. "Well, maybe if you weren't so selfish, you wouldn't be acting like this." Eric let out a bitter laugh. "Selfish? You know what, Jake? Let's talk about selfishness. I have worked my ass off for this family while you've done nothing. I've been the one making sure this house stays afloat, and how do they repay me? By handing everything I worked for over to you." His mother sighed again, as if he was the problem. "Sweetheart, you're getting too emotional." Eric clenched his fists. "Of course I'm emotional. How could I not be? You raised me to believe that family mattered, that taking care of each other was important. But now I see the truth. You only cared about what I could give you." His father shook his head. "Eric, we don't need this attitude. Just because you're doing well doesn't mean you have to abandon your responsibilities." Eric inhaled deeply, trying to control the rage boiling inside him. "I'm not abandoning anything. I'm setting boundaries. You have a house. You have Jake. Let him take care of you." Jake scoffed. "Oh, come on. You know I can't do that." Eric turned to his brother, his voice steady, firm. "Then get a damn job." Silence fell over the room. His mother's expression darkened. His father's lips pressed into a tight line. Eric exhaled slowly. "I'm done being your ATM. I'm done being used. You made your choice in that will. Now you live with it." Without waiting for their response, he turned and walked out, leaving behind the stunned silence of the family he no longer recognized. For the first time in years, Eric felt something he hadn't before: freedom. Eric drove back to his apartment in silence, the tension from the confrontation still coiled inside him like a snake ready to strike. His mind replayed every word, every dismissive glance, every entitled demand. For years, he had convinced himself that his sacrifices were worth it, that his parents' love would one day make up for the burden he carried. But now, the truth was undeniable. He had been nothing more than a provider, a safety net. And the moment he stopped giving, they saw him as nothing. When he stepped into his apartment, he exhaled sharply and tossed his keys onto the counter. His phone buzzed. "Mom, Eric, this is ridiculous. You can't just walk away from your family like this. We need to talk." A second message followed. "Dad, we raised you better than this. You owe us respect and support." Eric let out a bitter laugh. Respect and support? Where was the respect when they stripped him from their will? Where was the support when he needed them to at least acknowledge his sacrifices? Then another message came in. "Jake, stop acting like a child. Mom and Dad need help, and you're just proving how selfish you really are." Eric clenched his jaw, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. He could have said a lot. He could have listed every bill he had covered, every time he had bailed Jake out of trouble, every moment he had put his parents before himself. But what was the point? They would never see it. Instead, he simply typed, "Eric, this conversation is over. I'm done." And then, for the first time in his life, he blocked their numbers. At first, the silence was unsettling. No endless calls from his mother demanding money, no texts from his father disguised as check-ins but really just fishing for financial help, no entitled messages from Jake. Eric expected them to show up at his door, to guilt-trip him into submission. But days passed, and nothing. And slowly, a new feeling crept in: peace. For the first time in years, Eric focused on himself. He started working out again, eating better, getting more sleep. His mind was no longer consumed with financial stress or family drama. The weight he had carried for so long had finally started to lift. Then one evening, just as he was settling onto his couch with a beer, his phone rang. A number he didn't recognize. He hesitated before answering. "Hello?" A familiar voice filled the line. "Eric, it's Aunt Vivian." Eric sat up straighter. His mother's older sister, the only family member who had ever truly understood him. "I heard what happened," she said softly. "I just wanted to check on you." Eric exhaled, his chest tightening. He hadn't realized how much he needed to hear those words. "I'm okay. Just processing everything." Vivian sighed. "I always warned your parents that they were being unfair to you, but they were too blind to see it. You deserved better, Eric." His throat tightened. "Then why didn't you say anything?" "I did," she admitted. "But your father is stubborn, and your mother, well, she's always seen Jake as the one who needed saving." Eric let out a dry laugh. "And I was just the one who had to do the saving." She was quiet for a moment before saying, "I know it hurts, but cutting them off. That's the bravest thing you could have done. Now you can finally live for you." Eric leaned back, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in a long time, he felt like that might actually be possible. For the first time in years, Eric was finally living for himself. No more endless financial drains, no more emotional manipulation. It had been 2 weeks since he cut ties with his family, and while the silence had been unsettling at first, he was starting to embrace it. Until the knock on his door came. He debated ignoring it, but something in his gut told him otherwise. When he opened the door, he wasn't surprised to see his mother standing there, her face carefully arranged into an expression of motherly concern. "Eric, baby, can we talk?" she asked softly, her voice laced with a sweetness that didn't match the bitterness of their last conversation. Eric crossed his arms. "I don't have anything to say." Her lips quivered slightly, as if she were on the verge of tears. "Please, just a few minutes. I'm still your mother." He sighed but stepped aside, allowing her in. She walked in like she had been here 1,000 times before, taking a seat on the couch as if she owned the place. "Eric, we miss you," she began, her fingers twisting in her lap. "Your father, Jake, everyone. We're family. We shouldn't let a little misunderstanding tear us apart." Eric narrowed his eyes. Misunderstanding? That was how she was framing it. "Misunderstanding," he echoed. "You mean the part where you left me out of the will, or the part where you expected me to keep paying your bills despite it? His mother sighed dramatically, shaking her head. Eric, you're doing well for yourself. Jake isn't. Your father and I just thought it was fair to help him more. By giving him everything? Eric snapped. His mother flinched but quickly regained composure. It was a difficult decision, but honey, we never meant to hurt you. He scoffed. You didn't mean to hurt me? So what is this, damage control? She hesitated, then sighed. Eric, the bills are piling up. We need help. And there it was, the real reason she was here. Eric let out a bitter chuckle. So this isn't about making amends. You're just here because I cut off the money supply. Her face fell, but she didn't deny it. Eric shook his head. You made your decision, Mom. You chose Jake. Go ask him for help. Her expression twisted with frustration. Jake doesn't have your kind of money. Then maybe he should get a damn job, Eric shot back. She opened her mouth to argue, but for the first time in his life, Eric didn't care to listen. He walked to the door and held it open. Goodbye, Mom. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Eric. Goodbye, he repeated firmly. She hesitated for a moment before standing up. As she walked past him, she muttered under her breath, You'll regret this. Eric didn't flinch. He watched as she disappeared down the hall, and as the door clicked shut behind her, he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The guilt wasn't there this time, only relief. Days turned into weeks, and Eric enjoyed the peace that came with cutting his family off. For the first time, he felt like he was truly living for himself. No more guilt-tripping phone calls, no more money being drained from his account, just freedom. But his peace was short-lived. One afternoon, he got a call from an unknown number. Against his better judgment, he answered. Eric, it's Jake. Eric's jaw tightened. What do you want? It's Dad. He had a heart attack. For a moment, Eric felt his heart drop. Despite everything, his father was still his father. But then he reminded himself, these were the same people who had used him like an ATM. Is he okay? He asked, his voice cautious. He's stable, Jake said quickly, but the hospital bills, they're high, man. Mom and I. Eric cut him off. No. Jake paused. What do you mean, no? I mean I'm not paying for it. Ask Dad's golden child to figure it out. Eric, come on, man, he's our father. Is he? Eric snapped. Because last time I checked, he didn't think I was his son when he was writing that will. Bro, don't be like this. No, you don't be like this, Jake, Eric shot back. You sat there and let them treat me like a wallet while you enjoyed the benefits. You didn't think it was unfair then, so why should I care now? There was silence on the line before Jake sighed. Fine. If you want to be selfish, then stay gone. And with that, he hung up. Eric put his phone down, exhaling deeply. It hurt, but it was necessary. A month passed, and Eric didn't look back. He focused on himself, his career, and his happiness. He even started traveling, something he had always wanted to do but never had the money for because he had been too busy paying for his parents' expenses. One day, as he was sipping coffee at a cafe, he got a text from an old neighbor, Your parents moved out of the house last week. Apparently, they couldn't afford to keep up with payments. Eric stared at the message, emotions swirling inside him. He had spent years breaking his back for them, only to be discarded like he didn't matter. And now, they were facing the consequences of their own choices. He could have felt sorry for them, but he didn't. Instead, he smiled. For the first time in his life, Eric was truly free, and it felt damn good. Hi, besties. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.